Aiy-yu-kwee, Lita, and this is my channel, The Midnight Librarian. Today I will be talking about my May 2021 TBR. So originally for May, I had planned on just doing the Buzzwordathon and just kind of mood reading for the month, mostly because I have a feeling it's going to be a little hectic, particularly at the beginning of the month, towards the middle, because it's getting the end of the semester. So if you're a university student, particularly in California, because I work for the CSU system, then congratulations, you made it. We're like in that last little bit of home stretch. Yeah, we're entering into finals week, we're entering into graduation. And so with that, and with me working with 6 departments, I have a feeling it's going to be a little hectic, just because even though we're still mostly, for the most part, in quarantine, there is still plans due to the lax state of California as well as our county. We are starting to do more face-to-face things. So we have 2 graduation ceremonies happening 2 consecutive days. There's actually like 6 ceremonies because we have 3 separate areas within our college. But limited face-to-face ceremony. There may be some face-to-face receptions as far as but there's still also Zoom receptions. So it's going to be interesting to navigate all that and try to figure out what each of my departments are planning to do. Not all of them have started planning, so that's even more interesting and most likely will lead to having to do some last minute event planning. So shall see how that goes. But ultimately, my original plan was to kind of just read what I wanted, and that has changed. I am now participating in 3 readathons. I say 3, but really like the 3rd one that I'm thinking of is Buzzwordathon, which is considered kind of a readathon, more of a monthly challenge that I like to challenge myself with. If you don't know, Kayla from Books and Lala had created Buzzwordathon. That was originally a readathon. She has since turned it into a Goodreads group, which in turn has a Discord group. So basically I'm considering it more of a challenge, but basically there is a word or theme that has been chosen for every month. So the whole year has been laid out already, and basically it'll intermingle between a theme every month and a particular word. And what you're trying to do is find those themes or that word in the titles of books, and basically it's finding the commonalities. So for April, it was a space theme. So I found books that had Martian, planet, world in it, in the title to read. And for May, it is house/home. So basically, it's kind of self-explanatory, finding a book title with house or home in the title. To try to challenge myself to read some of my backlist titles. So that's what I do. There's also a Discord group that goes into depth into discussions of the book chosen, of which I'm not sure what the group book is for May, now that I'm thinking of it. I know for April it was The Martian. I'm participating in it anyway. I haven't been. So yeah, it's not necessarily a readathon in my mind. It's more of a challenge, but I'm still like naming it a readathon. The second readathon I will be participating is May the Force Read With You, created by Eric from Breakeven Books. This is a Star Wars themed readathon that happens throughout the month of May. You know I love a good month-long readathon. So May the 4th, if you didn't know, is Star Wars Day. It's May the 4th be with you. And so May the Force Read With You is inspired by that. And Eric plans on has like a couple of co-hosts that are doing this with him. I will leave links to all these readathons and the Buzzwordathon in the description down below. So if you want to check out and have more detail that is better explained than I'm explaining it, by all means. So the Star Wars Read-a-thon is kind of a choose your own journey type readathon. Basically, there is the Jedi Order and there is the Sith Order, and depending on how many books you read in and how many prompts you fulfill in each order depends on what your level is within that order. So like, for instance, for the Jedi Order, you read one book that fulfills one prompt and you're a Jedi youngling. But if you read 5 books that fulfills 5 prompts, then you're a Master of the Order. So it's a fun little readathon, and it's like more than just 5 prompts. So like, they even have, so there's a light side and a dark side. So light side is for the Jedi Order, dark side is for the Sith Order, and then there's a neutral, of which can intermingle with the light and the dark side. So if there's some prompts that you don't like from the light side, but you want to be in the Jedi Order, you can switch out a couple of the prompts. But basically the whole point is to fulfill 5 prompts. You cannot double up. The third readathon that I am participating in is going to be the Asian Read-a-thon. This is hosted by Cindy from With Cindy. And basically, it's a month-long readathon. Again, gotta love it, for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Now, I believe that we should be trying to read diversely all year round. So I do highly encourage you to pick up a book by or about an Asian author throughout the whole year, instead of just focusing or waiting on this particular month. But I am excited to delve into some of my some books that I have on my TBR that I haven't been holding off on necessarily, but it's just kind of like went back to the back of my mind. So when this readathon popped up, I was just like, oh, perfect. So, and like, it reminded me that I have these books and to read them. What I really like about this readathon is that there is storygraph links, and with that they have a bunch of challenges of like reading from various Asian communities. So not just Japanese or Chinese, but to read Pakistani, to read from the Philippines, to read Hawaiian. Like, there is a multitude of categories that they have created for this readathon, and I think I just spent the other day just going through all of them and adding books to my TBR on Storygraph as well as Goodreads to make sure that like I eventually get more books by Asian authors. So yeah, it's going to be really fun. I think the challenges, there's 5 challenges, and basically it's to read any book by an Asian author, a book that has an Asian protagonist, a book written by an Asian author in your favorite genre, read any nonfiction book written by an Asian author, and read a book written by an Asian author that's not US centric. So yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, everything will be down in the description down below. If you want to check out more about these readathons, I highly suggest you do. I'm excited to get into them. So for my TBR for this month for these readathons, basically I'm gonna let you know what I plan on reading based off the Star Wars readathon and how it connects to the other prompts of Buzzwordathon and the Asian readathon. So for the May the 4th Read With You readathon, I am going to the light side. I am wanting to be in the Jedi Order, mostly because I prefer them. So I was never attracted to the dark side at all. So I think I went ahead and chose all 5 of my prompts based off of the light side. So no neutrals, but I do have 3 companions as opposed to 2. So these are, you can choose however many you want, really. And I'll get into that. So for my first prompt with the light side, that is Jedi Council, and this is a sequel or a book in a series. And for this, I am going to choose The Beast Warrior by Naoko Yuhashi. I have read The Beast Player and I absolutely loved it. It's not one of my top favorite books of all time, but it is a memorable one. Because this is the second in the series, I will talk about The Beast Player instead. And basically we are following a young girl who watched her mother die. Her mother saved her life using a power that is forbidden in their land. And within this land, there are two particular creatures that this particular empire has utilized to and weaponized to gain control of the land that they're on. These wolf bird type creatures. Then there are these water creatures. There's some turmoil within this land. It's been a while since I've read this, so I apologize if I'm like completely butchering the synopsis. But there's turmoil in this land. The army that works for the leaders of this land are essentially planning a sort of rebellion with their water creatures, while these wolf flying creatures are more considered beloved by the high priestess, and they are more cared for than these water creatures. The water creatures are more considered the animal of the army. But there is unsettlement within the army, and things ensue, and all the while this girl is kind of in the midst of all of it while trying to figure out what kind of power her mom had and if she has that same power. For the Asian readathon, this actually works great for read any book written by an Asian author that is not US centric. So this is actually a translated work. Nahako Yuhashi is Japanese, and this book was translated from Japanese by Kathy Hirano. So it's the same with The Beast Player. I believe it's ultimately a series of 4, but when translated into English, they put them into books of 2. So not sure how that works. I really enjoyed the atmosphere of The Beast Player and didn't really care too much for the political issues that was going on. And I get that, like, part of that synopsis, it felt like that was a lot of what was going on, but I really just enjoyed following this young girl. The second prompt for the light side is Force Spirit, a book with paranormal elements, and for this it actually works for the Buzzwordathon, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This would be my first Leigh Bardugo book that I'm reading, and from what I understand, this is a dark academia book that follows a young girl who ends up being the only survivor of some kind of is it a mass murder or something? But it's like she hasn't been living her greatest life. People think she's a screw up and she's just messing up her life, but when she ends up surviving this, she wakes up in the hospital, handcuffed in a hospital bed, and gets an offer of a lifetime. She gets a full ride to Yale, with the hang up of having to watch over the secret societies that Yale has within its walls. Basically, there are secret magical societies, and from what I understand, there's also ghosts in here. So this has some paranormal elements to it. Yeah, I've also heard that there's some pretty heavy content warnings for this book, so I highly suggest you look that up before getting into here. The next book for the light side is Healing. Read a book from your favorite genre. I don't entirely know if this is my favorite genre or not, but it sounds like I would enjoy it because I kind of like that dark humor. So we'll see. And that is Arsenic and Adobo by Maya P. Paninsala. This, I believe, is about a young woman who ends up breaking up with her boyfriend. Her and her relationship falls apart. We're unsure how. She's working for her family's restaurant, and her ex ends up coming in and eating there, only to die in the dining area. They believe he was poisoned, and she's the first suspect because she's his ex. And so now she's trying to figure out who killed her ex. I hear it's relatively funny. I hear it's relatively dark. So I'm kind of excited to go into that. I don't think I've actually found too many books with that element, but it's one that I actually really enjoy if it's done right. So is it my favorite? It's a stretch, but I'm thinking it'll be fine. For the Asian readathon, this works for an Asian protagonist. I believe that Mia P. Manasala talks about being like Filipino dysphoria. So I believe the main character in here is Filipino. but has a disconnect, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. The next prompt for the light side is knowledge. Read one of the oldest books on your shelf or TBR. I don't know if this is necessarily one of the oldest books I have, but I know I've had it on my TBR for a while or within my collection for a while. And this also works for the Buzzwordathon house home theme word, and that is Tell the Wolves I'm Home by Carol Rivka Brunt. And I enjoy this pastel color, but I believe this follows a young woman or a young girl who is really connected with her uncle. He's a little strange from the rest of the family, but she likes that about him. He tells nice stories and she likes listening to him, and he's like one of her best friends and feels like he's the only one that really understands her. Unfortunately, he ends up passing away and she's really heartbroken about it, and ends up meeting this guy who was actually her uncle's, like one of her uncle's friends, and she finds that she's not the only one mourning for her uncle, and so they have a connection through that. That's all I know. That's all I really want to know going into this. I'm curious about it. I vaguely remember Kayla from Books and Lala talking about this book several years ago. I'm pretty sure that's one of the reasons why I bought it. Cleansed, a book with a white cover. I would call this off-white, almost eggshell, really. But that is Braiding Beargrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This gorgeous copy was so graciously sent to me by the book wizard himself, Neil Yazzie, and thank you so much, Neil. I am super excited to get into this. I've heard nothing but good things. My only thing is with this book is that it has deckled edges. Unless it's Desparo, it makes no sense for me to have, for books to have deckled edges, in my opinion. I'm still excited to get to this. I absolutely love this hardback cover version. It even comes with its own little ribbon. A nonfiction written by an Indigenous woman talking about Indigenous knowledge and plants, and I am so here for it. Okay, so now we're into the allies. From what I understand, for the rules of May the Force read with you, you read the ally books after you read all the prompts for your preferred side. So with this, I have chosen 3 allies, mostly because I want to get to these books. We'll see how many of them I get to, but the first one is Bounty Hunter, which is a neutral, and it's Contract Kill, and that is a book someone else has recommended to you. And Kim, you are my bounty hunter. Kim from Native Lady Book Warrior has suggested this book to our Indigenous book reviewers group. We meant to get to it back in March, February, March-ish, and none of us were really able to, so I think we're gonna try this month for May, and that is Water Lily by Ella Cara Deloria. And from what I understand, this goes into women of the Dakota community and kind of their life. This has been on several of my TBRs now. I'm hoping to finally get to it this month. We shall see. My next ally is going to be from the light side, and that is the Rebel Alliance, and this is to read a book with a rebellion in it, and for that I'm going to pick up Gideon the Ninth by Tasmin Muir. I have no idea if there's actually a rebellion here. I assume so, considering I keep hearing that this is about lesbian necromancers in space. I feel like a lot of books set in space have some sort of rebellion in it one way or another. And I've been on a space sci-fi reading kick recently, and I'm just gonna keep writing it. So I've been wanting to pick up another spacey book, and I've heard nothing but good things about this. I really enjoy that dark cover, and her smug face is just, it's calling to me. So yeah, I'm enjoying this art. Who's it by? Because that art is stunning. It does not tell me. I'll have to look into that because it's a gorgeous cover. And then my final ally is going to be Resistance, and that is a book from your least favorite genre, and this is going to be The Bride Task by Helen Huang. This is the companion to The Kiss Quotient, which I read several years ago, and I think I ended up, yes I did, I gave my copy away to Kay from I Love Books Okay, so hopefully they're able to get to it at some point. I'd like to hear their opinion. But yeah, this is the companion novel. In the first one, we followed an autistic young woman who wanted to just kind of satisfy her parents in like dating someone, but she didn't know how to date, mostly because sexual interactions like freaked her out. So she hired a male escort to kind of teach her how to be sexual, really, and things ensued, and they end up falling in love. This book follows the love interest in The Kiss Quotient, the escort, the male escort in The Kiss Quotient. His brother, I believe, is autistic, and it kind of goes into, it's following his story and his mom trying to set him, a young woman, to be his wife. So we'll see. The reason why I picked this for this one is because I don't have the best of luck with romance books. I think I know what I like and I know what I enjoy, and there's certain tropes that happen within romance books that I don't tend to enjoy, The Kiss Quotient including. I didn't mind The Kiss Quotient. What's one thing with The Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test is that Helen Huang is on the autistic spectrum, and her characters are a representation of that. So that's really just a cool aspect of it that we don't see very often. However, when it came to the romance part of it, there were some issues that I particularly had with certain things. I believe Helen Huang is an Asian American author as well. I don't necessarily know how she identifies. I don't want to misidentify. So I think this will just go with reading a book featuring an Asian protagonist. So, which I believe I already have, but I don't know. So already that's a lot of books, and of course I'm going to add more, because why not? Give myself some options for the month. So I do have one neutral prompt that I would like to get to. Basically, I just like giving myself this many books to be able to let myself pick and choose, to kind of feed into that mood reading aspect that I like. Not that it always works. I also tend to just grab up books that I just want to read that had nothing to do with my TBR. So we'll absolutely see. But this one in particular, this one is the neutral is lightsaber, and this is to read a book with your favorite color, and they specifically mean a color, not black or white, as those are tints and shades, and basically what they want hue. So with that, I am planning to read Written in Bone, Hidden Stories That We Leave Behind by Dame Sue Black. This is a nonfiction that I was able to get an e-arc of from NetGalley, and the NetGalley option is yellow, but the Goodreads, I see that on Goodreads they have another cover that is actually more of a slate blue, which is one of my favorite colors. I know that this is all purple in here, but my bedroom is slate blue, same type of thing, blue down here, white up here. I have been gravitating towards slate blue for years now. But yeah, and basically I believe Dame Sue Black is world-renowned forensic anthropologist, and is essentially talking about how our bones can tell stories, particularly when it comes to true crime. So this one I'm pretty interested in. We'll see if I get to it. I found that in April it was really just kind of tiring to have to read from a Kindle or ebook copy of a book after working from home on a computer all day, so I would definitely like to get to it, but we'll see. And the final book I would like to get to for this month would be Ace, What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex by Angela Chen. This, I wasn't sure if Angela Chen was Asian. I don't want to assume. However, she is on a list of LGBTQ plus Asian authors. So, but yeah, this is a nonfiction that I haven't had my eye on in a while. This could also work for telekinesis in the neutral prompt of a book that you think will move you. I really enjoy nonfiction works because I feel like it has some can definitely hit harder and deeper than a lot of fiction, I feel like, because it's based on people's lives. And like it's a culmination of like people's research and their lives, and I just really enjoy it. And Ace in particular, I've been fairly interested in for a while. I've heard good things about it. So that is my May TBR plus Written in Bone plus Ace. So we'll see how I do. Like I said, I don't ever like hold myself to reading all of these. It's instead of like a TB, it's still gonna be on my TBR if I don't get to them this month. It's just this TBRs. Most of my TBRs are more of hopefuls. So I'm hoping to get to a lot of these. We'll see just how many. So, but yeah, I'm excited about them. I really am. So, and of course, like, please remember to read diversely outside of the heritage months or the awareness months that we have. I know that I myself try to keep track and hold myself accountable for how diversely I'm reading. I know that a lot of my backlist books are prominently by white authors. So I know that I particularly can definitely improve in some areas. Oh, I forgot about the group book. So dang it. So for May the Force Read With You, there is a group book that I hadn't really ever intended on reading. Like, I kept hearing good things, but I still was just like, eh. But I do have this on hold to eventually get from my library as an audiobook. I figured I'd give it a try. It's for the prompt Chosen One, which is the group book for May the Force Read With You, and they will be reading An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. And there will be a live stream to discuss the book. Okay, so that is my TBR for the month of May, and it's a big one, despite wanting to keep it a little more relaxed this month. That sounds right. If you plan on participating in May the Force Read With You or the Asian Read-a-thon, like what are you like most anticipating to read? Like, what are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've made it this far, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't yet already, be sure to subscribe, hit the little bell icon to get notified when I post more content. And be sure to check out my raise awareness links down in the description down below. I will have some stuff for Asian American Pacific Islander awareness. Check those out if you are able. Be sure to do your own research and share and donate where you can. And I hope that you are in the mental mindset to enjoy your reading, and I will talk to you again soon. Ciao!